Can I, like others in this debate, acknowledge the work done by the committee, ably steered by its convener, Ian Smith, also by the clerks, and others have mentioned a piece of work really made possible by the many people across Scotland who contributed to our findings. Can I draw the Chamber's attention to two of the assessments that wider constituency in Scotland have made of our report? The RSPB applauded a wide-ranging and strategic piece of work on the one hand, and on the other hand, Scottish and Southern and Energy said the strength of this inquiry is that it focused on delivery and recognised the need for urgent action. And it's that call for urgent action that I want to focus my remarks on today, because this debate takes place midway through the countdown to Copenhagen, colloquially described by the campaigners as 100 days to save the world. Now, whether you share that view or not, the countdown to Copenhagen should caution us all against complacency. And so, despite the visionary legislation that this Parliament put through at the end of the last session, there should be no descent into mutual backslapping, predictable positioning, or a reliance on targets which only our grandchildren can fulfil for us. The issue for today is Copenhagen. And let me say, I fully understand why SNP ministers might wish to be there. It's human to want to be around when history is being made. But there is a wider countdown to Copenhagen campaign that calls all of us to action now. And so let me use my time to highlight just 3 things that the Scottish Government might do to demonstrate its Copenhagen commitment. Action point 1, absolute clarity as soon as possible about new coal-fired power station consents in Scotland. Because if, as the Government has said, and I disagree with it on this, but if it decides to ignore nuclear power, fossil fuels demand to be rapidly decarbonised. The committee therefore called on the Scottish Government to conclude its consultation on Section 38 consents as soon as possible. The Scottish Government is delaying. So can I ask the Minister, will new applications for unabated coal power stations, such as that for Hunterston, which as it stands is included within the National Planning Framework, will now be rejected? Secondly, on the countdown to Copenhagen, another action point, as others, my colleague Lewis has mentioned, Beauly Denny. Beauly Denny is an area where a decision should have been made in the last 100 days, never mind in the next 100 days. A public inquiry report submitted to the Government 200 days ago called for this matter to be resolved. And I simply say, Scottish Renewables are clear that half of the projects in Scotland, the renewable energy projects in Scotland in the planning system, can only be plugged in if this goes ahead. So we are calling on Scottish ministers to approve the upgrade of the Beauly Denny transmission line without any conditions which could result in further delay. And I say gently to the Minister, if President Obama can get to grips with the entire carbon reduction international agenda in less than 300 days, then surely Jim Mather can make a decision on Beauly Denny in less than 300 days. We look for a decision before Copenhagen. Action point 3 on the countdown to Copenhagen. Make the home insulation scheme that was first promoted by the Green Party in the last budget negotiations big scale, big impact, and commit to it. A street-by-street, house-by-house approach to improving energy efficiency. That, I predict, is what we will do in a few years' time. So why don't we just get on with it now? That's what the committee wanted. An area-based, targeted energy efficiency programme of the order of £100 to £170 million per year. Currently, the home insulation scheme has £15 million a year. I simply say to the Minister, the draft budget published in the last month proposes a 17% cut in capital budgets in Scotland next year. The value of that is literally hundreds of millions of pounds. Let's put 100 million back into an area-based targeted energy scheme. So they are my 3 action points: unabated coal, dealing with Beauly Denny, improving the home insulation scheme. These, I think, are the areas that should be on our agenda as part of the countdown to Copenhagen. Time eludes me, so I'll just add another couple. Other people have said energy efficiency is the key to reducing demand. There is no better way to reduce demand than to change behaviour. We have the evidence that council tax reductions are effective in changing behaviour with respect to energy efficiency. Can we have a decision on that by Copenhagen too? And finally, at the bill that we put through last summer, the opposition parties pressed upon the government that it would end the planning restrictions on householders in Scotland who wanted to introduce mini wind turbines or air source heat pumps into their own homes. That becomes a 5th area that could easily be actioned in a countdown to Copenhagen. So whether it be not consenting unabated coal, consenting to Beauly Denny, extending the home insulation scheme, publishing an energy efficiency action plan, not simply another consultation, introducing council tax rebates for energy efficiency and removing the planning constraints on domestic wind turbines, these are the areas where I hope we can have our own countdown to Copenhagen in Scotland. And I ask the Minister if he will reflect on whether on any of these 5 areas he anticipates being able to make a decision in that part of the 100 days remaining to Copenhagen before us. Thank you very much.